Hello, everyone. I'm Whitney Ortiz, host of the Whole Health series. I am so glad to have with us Dr. Jacqueline Chan. Jacqueline is a member of the American Board of Integrative Holistic Medicine, the Institute of Functional Medicine, and the American Osteopathic Association. She believes deeply in the principle that the body has an innate intelligence and ability to heal itself. Jacqueline is board certified in family practice, integrative holistic medicine, and neuromusculoskeletal medicine. She has been practicing medicine for 22 years and uses tools such as herbal medicine, nutrition, heavy metal detox, osteopathic manipulation, nutrition, bioidentical hormone balancing, and functional lab analysis. Jacqueline's a researcher, a faculty member with the Academy of Intuition Medicine, and the author of the amazing book, Regenerate Your Brain, a breakthrough plan to restore your brilliant mind. Thank you, Jacqueline, for sharing your wisdom and guidance with us.
Thank you. Thank you, Whitney.
To start us off, it would be great if you could please share about your belief that health means more than just the absence of disease and how you apply your understanding of our whole being through the whole range of work that you do.
Sure. So in Western medicine, we learn a lot about diagnosing an illness, such as liver cirrhosis or hepatitis or high cholesterol. And then when those things don't show up, we say you're fine, you're healthy, because disease hasn't been caught on a CT scan, MRI, or abnormal lab values haven't been seen. However, there are so many subtleties of things that happen before somebody gets a disease. So before somebody gets a disease, there are symptoms of stress. And you can see that when you look at the profile of the adrenal hormones, either by saliva or urine or blood. You can see the signs of, specifically for women, the hormones getting depleted, like estrogen or progesterone. And the range of hormones in a woman who's menstruating go anywhere from like 200 with her estrogen to about 600. So it's a huge range. Same thing with men for testosterone, it's like 200 to 900. And so what I like to do is I like to look at where, based on the lab values, where the physiology is, right? So are you physiologically beginning to decline such that you could develop a disease? And now we even have tests for Alzheimer's, for example, that look at, are you producing amyloid protein or tau protein? These are the things that are found that create the tangles in the brain 20 years before you ever get
Mm.
dementia. So, and then we have things like heart rate variability that you can get on your iPhone, and that is checking your sympathetic to parasympathetic stress response. So, integrative medicine is really looking at, is your physiology being stressed right now? Is it being stretched? We want to prevent disease from happening. And then the new kid on the block since the 1950s, something that our grandparents didn't have to deal with, is environmental toxins. So, environmental toxins can cause a lot of illnesses, and we don't taste them, we don't feel them, we're not aware that they're in us. And then, boom,
Yeah.
you get hypertension or diabetes or cancer. So, I also like to screen for toxins.
It
Yeah.
is so important to be looking at the root cause. And with so many of us under such tremendous stressors now, as a result of the pandemic, the economy, changes at work, changes at home, and women in particular wearing so many hats. How do you recommend, or what is your advice in terms of like just the pause, like how to get out from under it all to be able to kind of manage so that your physiological, self, your whole being isn't going to be de- degrading, deteriorating as time goes on?
Yeah. So there is, my last name is Chan, so I'm one fourth Chinese, and on my grandfather's side, and it's interesting because my grandfather shunned traditional Chinese medicine and wanted to do Western medicine and was trained in Scotland in infectious disease. And he was the only one who could treat malaria in Singapore with a medication. And then I kind of gone the other way. I'm like really interested in Qigong and really interested in the Chinese principles. So, but I was trained in the Western model, so I wasn't trained as a Chinese medical Qigong, but I love the simple truth of yin and yang. And I think almost everyone can understand yin and yang. And so yin is the receiving, and you could consider that the feminine, and yang is the masculine. It's the doing, it's the action. And you may have, probably everyone's familiar with the symbol of the yin yang, which is half black with a white dot and then half white with a black dot. And they're equal, right? It's not like
Mhm.
it's three-fourths yang and 10 or 20% yin. So I I met with a Chinese medical acupuncturist who was from a lineage of doctors in my early 20s. I was actually like just graduating from med school and in residency, and he had like several family members who were over the age of 110. And he would hold these classes on anti-aging. And I said to him, and he said, the secret to long, he said, you in America, you get big houses, you get big credit card debt, you like get a certain amount of, let's say, life force and energy, and you overspend and you
Mm,
make everything big. And in China, we take what we have and we use it, like the reason why they do fast food cooking, like with woks, is because they try to use the smallest amount of coal to like heat up. So they try to make a meal in like 8 minutes with like, what they had. So they're always sparing your resources and sparing your resources. So I like to liken it as, let's say you have $100 a day in your budget, and I think most women are very familiar with budgeting. So, you have or your financial plan, you have $100 a day of energy, right? And if you spend 120 and 120 and 120, you start building up debt. And he said the secret to longevity is to spend $80 and $80 and $80. And then you put that $20 in your bank account of resilience. Okay. This is challenging because we live in a society that doesn't promote that. It does the opposite. You're the hero when you put in the 12-hour day, when you work overtime, when you show up. We're actually rewarded for that in society. But the ultimate goal is to receive um, uh, as much as you're giving. Okay, so that's called sacred reciprocity. And sacred reciprocity is a principle in indigenous wisdom. It's in the Toltecs. And how do you go about doing what's what feels reciprocal? Well, you and I are doing it right now. Like you're working, I'm working, but you love doing this and I love doing this. So there's an exchange, right? So
mhm,
it's not just giving, 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 it's an exchange.
mhm,
This exchange, also called community building, is what women thrive on.
mhm,
And if you incorporate Western medicine, women actually thrive on community building and connecting.
mhm,
Men, and it actually raises their estrogen and their testosterone. Men thrive on competition and really like trying to beat each other and be top and be the number one. So for women, that's actually very depleting. So
mhm.
I'm kind of synergizing a lot of different principles in here. But essentially, um, if you I look at my day as how intense is my day going to be? And I have a certain degree of intensity. Like this is a 1 out of 10 in intensity, but sometimes my patients are a 9 out of 10 in intensity.
Mhm,
So then I look at there's an equivalent amount of intensity of joy, which is the opposite frequency of the tragedy that I need to refuel with, and that could be
mhm,
like laughter, it could be playing, like playing with your animal or playing with your kids.
mhm,
So now other people, though they don't have as intense, it may just be silence, just having meditation. So the secret really to these times is to, in the most efficient way, find something that you can just completely sink into that will nourish you. Because if you
mhm.
don't nourish, you're going to burn out.
Yes,
Yeah.
and in
So
the time when we need to have, like, mental clarity to even think through what is my schedule for the day? How am I gonna balance all of these things? And when the women who are listening and watching wear many hats, and you are so, your focus, your expertise, your experience is so deep within brain health and well-being, and at the same time, you recognize how each and every part of us and our being, and then the being of society in which we live, and the mix between the feminine and the masculine, and taking forward the ancient wisdom into modern day understandings. How do you support women in that clarity that they need, the mental clarity of today in the moment that's needed, and then how to be best planning for the future?
wow. Well, a lot of that's in my book. So,
Mhm,
there's, if you start with the most foundation, right? You're talking diet, exercise, sleep, so there are certain things that we can incorporate in our diet and with supplements, which is in the book, Regenerate Your Brain,
mhm,
creating a breakthrough plan for regaining your brilliance. And I'll just give you like two simple ones, which are also I talk about in my masterclass, and that is, fish oil. So fish oil, 800 milligrams a day of DHA, because our brain is 60% fat and 97% of that is DHA. And we don't make that in our body. We only get it from fish. And the omega-3 fatty acid levels in other foods like dairy, as in beef, milk, cheese, butter, are all much lower now because a lot of beef is not grass fed, it's corn fed, it's grain fed. So it doesn't have the omega 3. And same with our chickens. They're not out in yards scratching, they're in cages. So our food has gotten more and more depleted in the nutrients that it would have if we lived a more natural, um, if our food system was closer to nature.
mhm,
So the closer you can get your foods to nature, as in organic or weekend, open markets, local markets, the better. The less it's been in a transportation truck. And if you can't do that, then add on some supplements, and you can even get blood work to do that. So that, and then increasing fiber. So our gut bacteria are extremely crucial for our health, and we're finding that out now, and there's all this news about the microbiome, and our gut bacteria actually produce brain derived nerve factors. They actually help our brain. Now there's several things that can deplete our gut bacteria, our healthy gut bacteria. Number one would be taking a lot of antibiotics. Number two is alcohol. Number three is coffee. And then four is stress and certain other foods. And a lot of people go to alcohol to manage their stress.
mhm,
And and so within moderation, that's okay, but it can become excess. And excess is more than one glass a day of wine or any other alcoholic drink. So rebalancing the microbiome with fiber. So our bacteria feed off of fiber, and we tend to have low fiber diets. So increasing, ground flaxseed on your salad, or oatmeal, or a high fiber breakfast cereal, or even drinking a protein drink that has fiber in it. One of my favorites is ample meal. I mean, I'm a big, ample meal can't be sold in any store, but it's got 10 grams of fiber and 20 grams of protein, and it's just like comes to your door in a box, and it's this little plastic bottle with organic coconut in it and all these other things, and you just add water, shake, and for a super rushed person such
mhm,
as me, sometimes I just
mhm,
grab it, fill it with water, and head out the door, and I'm drinking my breakfast, and it's giving you enough calories for 5 hours.
mhm,
So there are some ways to remain healthy without having to be in the kitchen for 4 hours a day.
mhm. For
So
very time-stretched women listening to
right,
find
exactly.
those
I'm
ways.
trying to like give you some like tidbits, and then there are iPhone apps, for example, for sleep. Um, Mind Rise is one of my favorites. And I'm actually on it with some meditations, but they've got some great sleep ones. They've got some great ambient music, binaural
Mhm.
beats. So there are ways that we can use our technology to actually help us sleep at night. The blue light from the computer is not good for us, you
Mhm.
know, and sitting at the computer screen. So, as much as you can incorporate movement, like sometimes if I don't have to be on a screen, if we were talking and I didn't have to be on a screen, I would be doing some leg lifts, or
Mhm.
maybe some
Like the
squats or a log
multitasking
squat
with the wellness,
while
yes.
we're talking.
Yeah.
Right. Or I would be folding the laundry a little bit, or I'd be getting some other things done, adding some movement, or I sit in front of a window and I look out at the
Mhm.
sky because while I'm talking to someone, because our natural way of being is to have soft, wide perception, and this closed in focus is actually not very good for your brain. And I'm in the process of creating a class, just like a half an hour, 1 hour class on how to do brain exercises to increase the vagal tone and the parasympathetic nervous system, because this whole focus thing is not natural for us to be on all
Mhm.
the time with our phones and our computers. um,
So that leads us to how people can work with you more. That is an upcoming offering that you have. And then I highly recommend your book, which is available on Amazon,
uh-huh.
and the master class that comes with it, if you wouldn't mind sharing a bit about that.
Sure. Um, Gosh, well, I have a treasure chest of things to share. So basically, but just the number one thing would be get on my list so that I can continue to communicate with you, because I'm in the process of giving birth to a lot of different things in 2021. But my book you can go to Amazon and get my book there, Regenerate Your Brain, Creating a Breakthrough Plan to Regaining Your Brilliance, um, and save the receipt number. And I also, after you've ordered it, you can go back into Amazon and find your order history, and you can get that little number. And then if you go to my landing page, which is www.regenerateyourbrainbook.com, and you put that receipt number in there, then you get the masterclass for free. And what the masterclass is it's like my top kernels of wisdom in an hour and 15 minutes. Um, if you don't have the 10 hours it's going to take to read the book. I don't know how long it took you to read the book, Whitney, when you're
I
like, I
couldn't put it down, and honestly, it's so packed with wonderful information, yet it's so accessible and
uh-huh,
flows so nicely. I was
well,
just continually going into I did not wanna stop, so it actually didn't take me too long. It was in a couple different sessions just because of, the
yeah,
busyness of time this day,
okay,
but it
right,
was so I could have done it in one sitting if I had
okay,
probably maybe like, 8 to 10 hours of just like
okay,
steady reading is
right,
so good. And
right,
as I was telling you previously, where you can just take out so many notes and just put things all around your kitchen, your bedroom, like places where you'll have these reminders when you're making your food order, you're making your doctor appointments, asking about if these tests are available or if these
right,
supplements are going to be right for you, and how to help with sleep, and for people of all ages. I should mention that I'm thinking for my daughter how to best help her in this moment for that long-term health, or for our parents where really there's still so much that can be done because of neuroplasticity, and thus it is just so packed of great information with wonderful references. So, yes, thank
yes, thank you, thank you. So that's the best place to go, and then you can get on the master class, and then at the last slide of that I give an email address where you can stay in touch with me too. So
you.
that's the best next step.
Well, thank you so much for sharing just a sliver of the wealth of information that you have, and really highlighting for everyone the importance of looking at the whole of your being, and
Thank
how
you.
there is so much scientific evidence, and to bring forth the ancient wisdom, matching it with the modern day knowledge to be at your best for now and in the future. Thank you so much, Dr. Chan.
Thank you. Thank you. All right. Take care.